The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hello everybody, it's Mark Kelly here, Chief Customer Officer and co-founder at Alldus, and you are very, very welcome to our Alldus ServiceNow podcast series. And today I've got Artem Tyndyk. Artem is the technical lead consultant at NTT Data Germany. Artem, great to have you on the podcast today.
Hi Mark, thanks for having me.
Artem, let's jump straight into your background. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into the world of ServiceNow.
Yeah, sure. So I was always interested in technology, and that is why I decided to study computer science. I got my degree in 2009. It was in Ukraine where I grew up. And my first work was at a local internet service provider where I was configuring Linux servers and network devices supporting users. It was quite exciting, and the incident management that we had there was quite old-fashioned. It was like this. It was kind of paper notebook where I was just writing down the incidents. So I didn't have any idea about the ITIL, the best practices, the business systems, but it worked like this. So you can imagine how difficult it would be then to report and to share the data. But then on my next steps, I found out that there are business systems for that. There is ITIL, and my next job was at a Belgian company where I implemented the ITIL best practices and the incident change management. We were using the open source software there, which was not always working perfectly and not properly documented. But then in 2013, I actually moved to Germany, where I first saw ServiceNow, and that was a game changer. And I was impressed how well designed the system is, how flexible it is, and how smart it is. And I was really excited about ServiceNow. It was 10 years ago. God, so long ago. I've changed a couple of companies since then. Currently, I'm working at the NTT Data, which is a large Japanese IT service provider, but I still work with ServiceNow and I enjoy it.
Tell us a little bit about your role at NTT Data and some of the work that you do day to day. For people that don't work of what it's like to be within a consultancy, it'd be great to hear about that.
In consultancy in general, there are both advantages and disadvantages of the consultant work. I'd like to share them. So the advantages are, of course, quite good salaries. If you're motivated and if you're skilled, then your salary can grow pretty well. There is, of course, experience, because in consultancy, you get exposed to companies in different spheres, different industries, and that's quite exciting to see how different the culture is and the business models. So the experience, also the networking, of course, you meet many people and you travel a lot. That was before COVID. I need to mention now we travel not that much, but still there are some business trips, and these are nice opportunities to network and to see different places for those who enjoy it. There are, of course, disadvantages as well in consultant work. So these are, of course, stress. It can be stressful when especially a project approaches the deadline, and there can be also the projects you like and the projects you hate, because consultancy is different in these terms. So it's quite volatile and the workload is volatile. Sometimes it's quite relaxed and sometimes you have to really hit the ground. So it's the work-life balance is not always balanced. So the context switching, you have to switch between the roles, and that's difficult because you have different roles in different projects, and that's challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a very, very varied role, and you need to upskill very, very quickly because you're going into some new projects where you may not have had sufficient experience, where you just need to ramp up at a stage that not many other people would have to get up exposure. But that is the world of a technologist. I'm sure within consultancy, there's just that extra level of determination to ramp up and to skill up too. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects and trends that some of your customers are experiencing at the moment and you're seeing out there?
Yeah, there is a big variety of projects. Many of them relate to business processes like ITSM or like customer service management. But there are also some different projects like moving ServiceNow to the cloud or risk assessment. And maybe a few words about the challenges which customers typically have. So I think one of the main challenge is that there is lack of skilled people on the market, and customers typically expect experienced consultants, experienced skilled people, but there are not that many on the market. So this is one of the key challenge. Another one is the speed, of course, especially after the COVID. It was clear that some of the projects have to be delivered really fast because we need to accelerate the digital transformation. The compliance is often an issue, especially for the companies which work in the healthcare industry. For example, they have GXP compliance. Also, now the ESG topic is coming, and this is another compliance set which is challenging to implement. Um, Also, customers want to be guided. The era of body leasing, what we call it, when a person typically works in outsource model at some external customer, it's over. They want to have guidance. They want to be trained. They want to be consulted, and also they want some packaged solutions, some best practices that we can bring into. And the last one is the complexity of the IT environment. The IT landscape is typically fragmented, especially in the large companies. So they have a lot of systems connected with each other per interfaces. Some of them do not work properly. And by the way, this is where ServiceNow comes into the game and proposes a platform of platforms, what they call it. And this is much more efficient to have all the processes in one database, in one platform.
So could we delve a little bit deeper into that, maybe from your perspective, how you've helped the customer, what was their problem, and how did you kind of go about solving that problem, and ultimately the return on investment, how you kind of helped this customer be successful?
Yeah, sure. So one of the projects that was a bit different from others was the cloud migration, as it was a project to migrate ServiceNow environment from the on-premise, from the self-hosted infrastructure to the cloud, which is of course more scalable, secure, sustainable, and cloud has more capabilities like security benchmarks or the AI and machine learning capabilities. They are only in cloud. So customers tend now to migrate their ServiceNow instances from on-premise if they are on-premise to the cloud. This is a trend as well. And one of such projects that I had was like this. And what were the challenges in that project was, of course, the huge business impact, because when you migrate your big instance to the cloud, there are implications like interfaces or like URLs that change, and there is huge amount of involved stakeholders there. So a proper planning and communication has to take place in advance. Another challenge was the security requirements. Large customers have usually quite a lot of these security assessment procedures, and they are not transparent. They are quite complex, and you need to go through this also in advance. As early you start, then earlier start, then better. And also a technical challenge was the size of the database. Typically, ServiceNow instance for a big company has like 3, 4, 5 terabytes of data, which is not that easy just to upload to the cloud. So yeah, we had to split it. So we had to drop some redundant tables. Typically, if you review the amount of tables that you have, maybe some of them is not needed anymore. Some old logs, some old emails, attachments that can be there archived or dropped. So yeah, this was the approach. And yeah, we managed it within 7 to 8 months. And yeah, it worked. Now the customer is in cloud.
Brilliant. Thank you for that overview, and I appreciate your honesty in terms of some of the challenges that came with that as well. Tell us a little bit more about future trends, and I appreciate you being telling us about some of the existing trends, and also how you expect the ServiceNow platform to evolve. I believe we're up to Utah now. It seems like Tokyo was just a few weeks ago, and some partners have actually got access to that. So I'm not expecting you to delve into that yet, but it'd be great just to see where you're feeling the evolution is happening.
Yeah, sure. I would be excited to share my thoughts on that. As ServiceNow is a part of the overall IT infrastructure, and the IT infrastructure is a part of the global economy. Maybe at first, a few words about the big picture. How do I see it? Where are we going, and how it's being developed? So during the holiday season, I read the book called The Great Demographic Reversal. So a few words about the demography that is driving the trends. It was a book by Charles Goodhart, who worked at the Bank of England, quite a new one. And he's writing that we are in the aging society. We have these trends like longevity is growing from one side. We live longer, which is good, of course. From other side, the fertility is dropping, so there are less and less children every year, but more and more seniors. And this implies us that the so-called is growing. The old dependency ratio, no, it's the amount of the people of the older age, 65 plus, to the people of the working age. So then more dependents you have, then more elderly you have to take care of. So it was about 26 in Germany in 2000. Now it's about 41, and it will be about 58 in 2050. So in Japan, it's even more rapid. It will be 80 in Japan in 30 years. It's a big problem because it's a pressure on the pension system. It's a pressure on the overall economic growth, and there are not that many solutions actually to not many things we can do. By the way, I wrote an article on my LinkedIn profile, like 8 demographic implications for IT specialists. I tried to reflect what does it mean, this trend for IT specialists, and I've listed down things like inflation because of that, and offshoring. Of course, there will be offshoring this time to India, not to China, but India will accept capital, and I believe it will grow significantly. Yeah, but coming to the ServiceNow, because as I mentioned, we have this context that implies innovation, because innovation is not it's one of the less solutions that we have to overcome this challenge. There will be huge investment into innovation within the next years. So now this is the place where ServiceNow comes into the game with their low code capabilities. As we have lack of people, lack of young specialists, we need to anyway, we need to increase the amount of people who can work with the system. So the low-code capability allows non-technical users to work with the system to create apps. There will be about 750 million apps created by 2025. It is according to IDC forecast, which is a huge amount. It's more than we have created within the last 50 years. And this is the market where ServiceNow is going to be a leader, the low-code platform. Also, they are working on the simplicity of the platform so that every regular user could have easy experience, the same as they have on Uber or Amazon. The same should be also when you work with ServiceNow. Another one is the integration, as you have this platform of platforms and all the processes in one place, where you have every year they have more and more processes there, and they are only integrated on one platform in one database. Another one is the ESM. ESM means Enterprise Service Management. So this is the approach which was initially tested on the ITSM. So this service model where you have service provider and service consumer. It has worked pretty well in ITSM world, and actually ServiceNow has been a leader in the ITSM area, and they want to expand. They are actually expanding to other business areas like legal, like customer service management, like HR, and all of these are parts of the ESM landscape. Another one is the ESG. This is a new module, new dashboards proposed by ServiceNow to track this ESG, I don't know, points, as companies will have to follow the these ESG rules that are, I think, yeah, all the companies and the governments are following this because of the climate change, of course. What else? It's cloud, of course. The cloud migration, as I mentioned, the cloud in spendings are right now about 41%, and they will be about 51% in 2 years. So this is according to the forecast of Gartner. So yeah, the share of the cloud is growing. And the last but not least, is the AI and machine learning capabilities. So ServiceNow already has a couple of them on board. They have already in Tokyo released, they have the sentiment analysis. So this is a tool which helps to understand how happy the user is when working with the system or with the support, just by analyzing the wording. Another one is the search, AI search that they have, which is much smarter than it was before. Also, it's task intelligence that gives suggestions to the words. But these are just minor things, in my opinion, because the bigger things will come later within the next 1 or 2 years.
Artem Tyndyk, NTT Data lead for technical consultancy at NTT Data. Thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate your insights. We talked a little about your background, your journey, what it's like to work in NTT Data, the life of working in consultancies, some of the challenges you've had within customer projects and how you overcame them, and some return on investment. We talked a little bit about some of the trends existing and brief future gaze a little bit for future trends. Thanks very much for your time, Artem.
Thanks, Mark. It was great to talk to you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.